What's happening, everybody? This is Dan Goodman of the Business of Strength podcast. It is only 2 months. I'm shooting this episode 2 months away from our annual Business of Strength retreat. This year, we are going to be doing it from sunny Scottsdale, Arizona at the Canopy Hotel. We still have a few spots remaining. It really is shaping up to be an amazing event. We have some incredible sponsors, Elite FTS, Dave Tate, Matt Goodwin. Those guys are our keynote sponsor this year. Big shout out to Elite FTS. Power Athlete is going to be there sponsoring the event. Simmons Media is going to be there sponsoring the event. And we have 30 people registered to go. And we could take up to 35 people in the room. So we still have a few spots remaining. And if you want to get there, you could shoot us an email at bos@varsityhousegym.com. bos@varsityhousegym.com. Just put Scottsdale in the subject title and we'll get you all the information on that event. Now to today's show. This year, one of our biggest focuses, and it's been a quarterly focus, quarter one, quarter two, and carried into quarter three, because it really was a year-long goal. And the goal was to professionalize our hiring process. And to give you a little bit of backstory on how we've hired in the past, it's always been through the internship process. The internship process would happen one time annually. It was a unpaid summer internship. And Joe, my business partner, he's a local professor, so we had the Montclair State connection. We've developed a connection with a local university, St. Thomas Aquinas. We've developed a relationship with Ramapo College and Rutgers University, a lot of local universities that would kick us opportunities to, have their students come for credits over the summertime. That process evolved and it became a stipend program, and we were starting to be able to recruit from different universities, Syracuse University, some other places we extended our reach to. And we were able to hire, one coach a year, and we grew like that. And with one facility, it worked exceptionally well. But we know, like in the last 2 years, we opened a personal training business, and the cat's out of the bag at this point. But we're going to be opening another personal training business towards the back half of 2023. So obviously, recruiting and developing great team members has become really the forefront of our mind as a leadership team. And in the last 2 weeks, I think every single day I've had either an interview or something to do with an on-the-job training for somebody that's just been hired, which is a great thing, right? It means you're growing, it means you're developing, and that's a good thing for a business. For a lot of gym owners and fitness professionals that I speak to, they look at this as like a totally overwhelming process, and I understand that. But like anything, when you talk to most gym owners that transcend to be more than just like a solopreneur, where they're just, selling their sessions and training their sessions and doing their own finances, when they find that person that can execute the training plan as good as they do, or similarly to them, it usually allows them to double the size of their business. Obviously, they're not paying that person the same that they're paying themselves, or most of the time not. And it allows serious business growth. And we're looking at it now. It's like, when we go out and we attract the right person for the right role, it really adds rocket fuel to our business, right? Right person in the right seat, doing the right job, focused on the right tasks. It allows a lot of autonomy for the person, and usually it relates back to success for the business. And without talking too much theory here, I had an example. There's somebody that we've worked with for a long time. I'm just going to reveal his name because I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Connor Abreu, who is he was a intern with Cressy Performance. He he joined up and came to our first Business of Strength 2-day and started paying for consulting before he had a lease on a space. And just like, he's been a professional before he was quote unquote a professional coach or professional business owner, I should say. Connor is a professor at a local university, so just total student of the game. And the first couple of years in business, he was that solopreneur and grew really and established a great brand name in central Jersey near Princeton. And he got to a point where it's like, hey man, my capacity, I can't do much more. And it's like, all right, well, cool. Are you cool with the money you're making? Are you cool with the business, where the business is at? He's like, not really. I want to continue to grow and develop a staff, but I'm worried about incurring the expense of that. I was like, all right, well, let's get clear on what you're trying to hire. And he's like, well, I would ideally love to hire somebody that could really be an extension of me, to really focus on improving the training product and the capacity of the training product. So, he built out a role for a director of training, right? Or an associate director of training. And once he identified the role, he was able to find the right person for that role, invest a tremendous amount of time and energy into that person, and then, subsequently hire that person. And what's happened in his business in the last 2 years since finding that person is, it's not like he hasn't had 2x growth. It's been 3x growth, 4x growth. And the trend line just continues to improve because he identified the role. He recruited for that role. He built a very clear job description for that role, and the business has taken off. And so kudos to Connor. And I'm going to break down that process in depth. But, I remember talking him through the process, and it's like, hey man, he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can afford this. And was thinking on a macro level, right? Oh, this is going to cost $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year. It's like, well, here's the deal. You're going to know if this is working in the first 90 days. So let's backtrack that, right? If you were paying high end, off the street, you're paying somebody $50,000 a year. I'm not saying that's what Connor did, but let's just say for argument's sake, we're paying somebody $50,000 a year. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to give them 3 months. At the end of the day, you're going to get 3 months of work, and it's going to end up costing you roughly $12,000, right? And it's like, look, if you have money in the bank that's just sitting there, why not get clear on what you need, go recruit what you need, and pay that person and invest in that person? Because if that person pays off, the return on that investment is going to be greater than anything else you can invest your time or money into, right? It's allowed, especially in his case, it's allowed him to scale to a level that he probably didn't deem to be possible, certainly alone. It couldn't be done alone. Okay, so today I'm going to give you the 4-step process that you need to hone in on to really become an effective recruiter and developer of a team, and subsequently a great leader of that team. Okay. Number 1, you need to get clear on what you need. Right? You can't look at another business and be like, oh, I see they have a director of sports science. What the hell is that? Right? If you need that, that's great. But what is that? What does that person do besides just have a fancy title? All right. Be clear on what you need. If you're a business and you look and you say, you know what, I really need 20 coaching hours filled. Okay, cool. That's what you need, right? Get clear on what you need. It all starts with your vision of how this person who you don't know yet fits into your business. And even still, in years past, outside the internship, if we were like, oh, you know what, maybe this client has raised their hand and says they want a job, or everybody's had that happen to them. It's like, all right, yeah, they seem like a cool person, just hire them. It's like, well, are we clear here? Do they know what they want? Do we know? Not saying you have to have all the answers, but you need to be clear on what you're trying to fill or the direction in which you're trying to go. All right, so it starts with that. Number 2 is recruiting. And at the end of the day, recruiting is it's the attraction piece. You look at college sports and recruiting in college sports. It's like I was talking to a couple pro guys that were here training in the last couple weeks in July. And they're like, yeah, man, like the college facilities are better than pro facilities, like by far, especially in the NFL, because they're trying to, for a long time before NIL, that's what they had to sell in the recruiting. Like there has to be flash, there has to be something that stands out amongst the rest. So the recruiting starts with, like, what do your ads look like? Do you have ads on Indeed? Are you sending out an attractive message to your email list? Are you sending out a something on social media that looks like a job listing or a place that you would want to work? Or does it just look like you're in desperation mode and you're trying to pay somebody $12 an hour to come stand by your side? Like the job description and what you're hiring and the way in which you're presenting it needs to look pro, right? So it starts there, like recruiting. It can come in a lot of different forms and fashions, but the way in which we do it is we have a great job ad. It's posted in a multitude of places. There's ad dollars behind that job ad. We spend a tremendous amount of time recruiting for our internship, and any gym can do that. You could go to any local university and give them the curriculum in which you'll be doing and teaching over a winter course or summer course. But there is a lot of time spent on recruiting and prospecting for the right people to come in and train on our team. The third part, and this is one that we've really refined in the last, I would say, year, is what happens. So we had our internship curriculum, but what happens after the internship's over? So I get my offer letter, I start training, I start my job. What happens now? Or if I circumvented the internship, I'm 28 years old, I have 5 years of job experience, not at your gym, but I have 5 years of experience working in the industry. How do I matriculate fast into your community, your culture, your processes? And what we created was a booklet of some basics that, like, we didn't want people to lose sight of, like company history, the accountability chart for our company. And if they have an issue with, say, payroll, who to go to. If they have an issue with marketing or they want to contribute, who's accountable for that role? Who's their boss, right? Like who's the director of training and what do they do? All right. And so it also includes I picked this up from Joe Hash. He helped me develop this, but it's what happens in the first 90 days, like almost like a treasure map of things that they need to do and accomplish in the first 90 days on the job. And it could be like simple shit, like, but it falls to the wayside. Like, are you updated on Slack? Like, have you been added to our Facebook member group? Have you introduced yourself in our Facebook member group? Do you have all your employee handbooks signed, right? Have you introduced yourself to everybody that works on our team, whether they work the morning shift or the night shift, right? Are you CPR AED certified right now? Is your training certification up to date? Do you know our interpersonal code of conduct of being swift, smile, work the room, instigate success, find a friend, be thankful? Or do you know our core values, right? Like, do you know how to use mind body? Like there's just a list of things that they can do at their own pace. And it allows them, there's a lot of, look, there's downtime on the job. You hire somebody for 40 hours, 45 hours a week, and there's 25 training sessions. It's like, what the hell are they doing the other 20 hours? Well, there's certain meetings that are put on there too. Like, did you meet with our director of training once a week? Yes or no? Like for 10 weeks, right? There's a curriculum that Adam would have. Have you sat in on a sales meeting with Coach Mike, right? Have you had a meeting with Dan? I do a 30, 60, 90-day review with a new hire. Like All these things are mapped out so that they can take ownership and accountability of their success on the job. And it also gives us a great view of like, at 90 days, did this person do any of this stuff? And if they haven't, are they the right person for the role? Probably not. So the third thing, the first 90 days on the job for the employee needs to be, the expectation needs to be very freaking clear, very clear. All right. And number 4, for the people that are onboarding this person, they need to be super clear with what that 0 to 90 days looks like and what their contribution to the process looks like. So every single person on our leadership team has a contribution to that process, right? This person is going to sit in on a leadership team meeting. They're going to have a one-on-one. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's every 30 days, sometimes just once, but they're going to have a stand-up meeting with every single person on a leadership team. And the leadership team is knowing like, hey, our full-time coaches, here's the KRA for a full-time coach. Here is the trajectory of the role in terms of pay. Here's the trajectory in terms of role, in terms of our expectations for this person. Here's when they're going to have their annual review. Here's who's doing the annual review. Here's how the review gets graded. All those things on the back half used to be, self-admittingly very, it wasn't systemized, which made it unclear for everybody besides Joe or myself. And there was no system in place so that somebody else, such as Mike or Adam, Kat, could take it and say, okay, yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to do a 30 or 60 or 90-day review. I know what career trajectory for a full-time coach looks like in terms of pay scale. I know how to do an annual review. I see clearly their key role and accountability and how we're measuring success. So the fourth part is, our staff knowing their contribution on the leadership section. And that really starts with clear pay scales, clear KRAs, clear job descriptions, and trajectory of roles. So top to bottom, package it up. I know we talked a lot about hiring. Number 1, you need to be clear on what you need. What are you hiring, right? If you don't know, it's going to make it hard to go attract what you need, okay? Number 2 is recruiting. It's got to look good, right? It's got to look pro. It's got to be in a place like, hey, if you need to pull an ad, like that should be saved. There should be a Google Drive or, OneDrive, whatever you use, of like all your ads for different roles, and to be able to just copy and paste, get right to Indeed, get right to LinkedIn, get right to social media, and start blasting it out. Number 3 is on the job training, 0 to 90 days. One thing I failed to mention, I want to mention it here. Part of the recruiting process for us, this could be in number 2, is when you bring somebody in, like what we get a lot of questions on this, like what does the interview look like? Our interview is very clear. It goes to a phone call. If somebody passes the 15-minute phone call, it goes to an in-person interview. If the person gets through the in-person interview, we invite them back for an unpaid 2 to 3 hour on the floor observation. Right. And we get to see them interact with clients, see if they say hello, goodbye, if they're introducing themselves to other staff members, and just what their interpersonal skills really look like. So that's the 3-part. From there, if they pass all 3 phases, they get an offer letter. Okay. Then number 3 is on the job training. It has to be choreographed. They have to know like what 0 to 90 days looks like for them and how to take some level of accountability for that. And number 4 is the leadership team and the rest, and the people that are helping to onboard this person need to have clear KRAs, job descriptions, and trajectory of that role so they can clearly and accurately lead that person to success. And look, this sample size of this program for us, it's self-admittingly, it's been a work in progress, but we have never ever in since 2006 we've had more interviews and more on the job training happen in this building in the last 6 months than we probably did in 3 years prior combined. So it's working. We've had 3 hires in the last 6 months. We've had a tremendous amount of interviews, and the goal is to hire another 3 people by the end of the year. So it'd be 6 people hired in a year's period, which is great, and it's just it's led to a lot of continued success. And it's for you, like one of our business mentors and somebody that we still work with, Vince Gabriel. He always talks about it. It's about who, not how, right? Who, not how. For us, it really just, we had to get clear on like, who do we need, and what is our contribution to getting these people above the bar and carrying the code of conduct and the core values near and dear to us that started this business to continue it in the next 10 years. And it's no longer like, how do we get it done? It's who can get it done for us. And that comes down to like, I mean, listen, we're hiring people that aren't even coaches, like people that can do operations at a level that take me forever, right? But it's who, not how. I know it's a great lesson that he's taught us. I know, I believe Dean Jackson taught it onto him, but it's something that's really been impactful from a mindset and a psychology towards hiring. So I hope this episode hits home for you. If you're trying to grow and scale a business, you can't do it alone, especially a brick and mortar service business. You need great people to help you impact and reach more lives. So if you enjoyed this episode, the only way it grows is for you to share it with friends. Copy and paste that link, send it to people, tag us on social media at Business of Strength. We'll reshare it up. And like I said, if you would like to join us in Scottsdale, Arizona for the annual BOS retreat, we only do it once a year. It is this September 28th and 29th at the Canopy Hotel. 2 awesome days of learning, workshopping, guest speakers, rooftops. I mean, we're going to be doing it all. And I can't wait to see a lot of you there. All right. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you later.